Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. And I'm so excited, boy, we have some guests here, 80, 95, 84, I'm 84. But anyway, the main guests here, we got two main guests. And that's Dr. Samuel Myers. He's the chairman of the Minority Access Incorporation, along with the president, Andrea Mickles. Now, tell us a little bit about what's going on. Mrs. Mickles, we're going to start with you. You're the president.
Yes.
Tell us about the organization. How do you get involved in it, and some of your focus?
Okay. Well, first of all, Mr. Brown, let me say how pleased we are to be here on your show. I've heard wonderful things about this show, so it's an honor to be here. Well, Minority Access was incorporated in 1995. It was the vision of college and university presidents and other stakeholders in the community. We were incorporated for the primary purpose of assisting colleges and universities, federal agencies, local governments, corporations of all kinds, and individuals to assist them in diversifying their campuses and workplaces. And the reason we wanted to do that is because we saw a need where the recruitment and retention of minorities, primarily on majority campuses and in corporations, needed improvement. They needed some expertise on how to improve this retention and enhancement of their minority students, faculty, and employees. So after we were incorporated in 1995, and we were first headquartered in Washington, D.C., near Capitol Hill. But our chairman, Dr. Samuel Myers Sr., located a building in Hyattsville on Route 1. And so soon after, we purchased that building and moved our headquarters there in 1997.
Hey, you've been there a while, huh?
Yes, we've been there a while. We bought the historic building that was formerly the hub for Suburban Trust Company.
Well, what is your enrollment as far as its nationwide organization? Tell us a little bit about how you're spread out in the rest of the states, and basically how you recruit.
Okay. Well, we have a network of 170 colleges nationwide that have signed on to cooperate with Minority Access in advancing opportunities for their minority students and faculty. And one of the things we specialize in is placing students of diverse backgrounds in paid internships with the federal government. So we depend on these colleges and universities to identify students for those internship programs for us. We also have what we call a National Role Models Project. And we work closely with these colleges and universities to identify minorities who have excelled in various science and technology fields. And we honor them and publicize them at our National Role Models Conference, which is coming up in October.
Okay, where is that going to be held? Here?
It's going to be held here in Washington, D.C. at the Omni Shoreham Hotel on October 3rd through the 5th.
Excellent.
Yes. And we're looking for over 200 or so persons to attend that conference.
Great.
And this is our 15th conference.
15th anniversary.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, look, Dr. Samuel Myers Sr. Now, you're the chairman. Tell us how long you've been involved with it. You look like a young guy, about 95 years old.
Actually, I've been involved with Minority Access since its inception in 1995. There are two aspects to this. Number one, many of the predominantly black colleges recognize the importance of having a diverse environment so that anyone who expects to sell to, buy from, work with, play, or anyone who expects to live in an integrated society must learn how to cope with members of other communities, so that diversity has become a very important element in increasing the quality of a post-secondary institution. Actually, many of the institutions recognize that in order to get federal funds, frequently they must demonstrate that they have a diversified environment. So we help these colleges to recruit diversified students, to retain them, to graduate them, and indeed to enrich the campuses on which they study.
I see. And what are you involved personally with? I mean, what is your field? You're involved with personnel, or just how do you, as the chairman, what is your job? What are you doing?
Actually, I came up through the ranks in terms of going on to graduate school, getting a doctorate,
right,
then becoming a professor, and then going into administration, and then to help to mentor and to identify very bright young people, such as the president of Minority Access, so that they in turn can carry the torch on.
What school did you attend?
I took my undergraduate work at Morgan.
Morgan, all right.
State College, later Morgan State University. I took a master's degree at Boston University and the doctorate degree at Harvard University.
Hey, fantastic. Then you and the president have something in common, right? You went to Harvard.
Yes.
Dr. Myers may not say it, Mr. Brown, but he is believed to be the first black American to receive a PhD in economics from Harvard University.
Is that right? Congratulations, sir.
Many years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. You know what I mean? Just that's what I tell the youngsters. You know, once you get those degrees, you'll be 105, 125. They don't go away. That's why it's important to get that education, because they can't take it away from you.
Yes.
Once you get it, that's it. You be 105, 110, you know, and they can take other things away. They can take money, clothes, and all that, but that you earn. Congratulations, sir. And you're still active. This is you're an excellent example of what education can do for you. Hey, you can live longer. That's why.
Well, we applaud you for what you're doing in order to disseminate information about what's going on in this area.
Yes, right. Okay, tell us, Mickle, tell us basically some of the projects that you institute and you go as far as the program coming up in October. Tell a little bit about that.
Yes, that's our National Role Models Conference, which is our, as I said, 15th national conference. The impetus behind the conference was that we want to highlight what we call believable role models, real live role models.
Like Dr. Myers here.
Correct.
Excellent example.
We specifically focus on minorities, students, faculty, and alumni who have excelled in the sciences or other fields in which minorities are underrepresented.
You know, I'm a little prejudiced with that, you know. That,
I understand,
being a
yes, I understand. We ask our colleges and universities who are cooperating with us to identify these people from their campuses or from their alumni bases, to bring them to our attention, nominate them as role models for the Role Model Award. Then we have a panel to review those nominations. And once they are approved, we honor them at the National Role Models Conference. We also honor them as well as their supporters. And the rationale behind that is to inspire others to emulate their success. Because one thing we know that's very critical in our country is there's a large health disparity gap that
well, the
exists.
president realized that, but the Congress didn't.
Yeah.
You know, as far as health is concerned. Well, we have to start wrapping this up. Now, tell us a little bit about volunteers. Don't you need volunteers?
Oh, yes, we welcome volunteers.
Make an appeal for, if I wanted to volunteer to work in the organization, how would I do it?
Call us at the number that's given at the end of the program. And we have plenty of work that our volunteers can assist us with.
Because it's so important that individuals get involved. They figure if they're not, you know, on the top of the organization, you know, or they don't have anything to add. But volunteers can add everything, because that's as far as your organization is concerned. Okay, what about the funding? What kind of funding do you get involved with the federal government?
Yes, most of our funding does come from federal agencies through contracts and cooperative agreements.
Okay.
Yes. And we do have some programs that focus on the local youth too. So, and one in particular is our Educational Talent Search program.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Dr. Myers, give us some words of advice to young people out there, you know, that's as far as the future is concerned.
Become involved as a volunteer, as one who works on with diverse groups, and one who is in the forefront in their own fields, in improving their skills and reaching out to others in order to continue to promote themselves as well as their communities.
Okay, fine. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. You know, one of the things in our program is volunteers. A lot of people don't want to get involved, but that's what you have to do. You can't sit at home. You know, you have something to add. And you young people, you heard Dr. Myers here. Hey, he should know he's 95. And hey, look what you got here. Contribute. He's still contributing. Okay, see you in a second. Hi, welcome back to the Ed Brown Show. If I could sing, I would say happy birthday. But this individual, Dr. Mary Johnson, I mean, she just turned 80. Can you believe that? And you know, she's been on the show many times before. She's a mathematician, but she just told me she liked writing better. But she has a book here called A Formula for Sex and Learning Math. Dr. Mary Johnson, tell us, how did you get involved with this? And, you know, I didn't understand. I thought math was your thing, but you're telling me it was English, writing. And you got that from Dr. Williams, didn't you?
No, long before I met Dr. Williams.
Oh, you're not going to give him credit for that?
Well, he contributed. He contributed, of course.
He's a contributor.
Of course. He encouraged me because by writing.
All right.
Yes, but actually, I used to write for the paper, school paper. Poems and whatever. I love writing poetry, still do. And when I took algebra, to recapitulate how I got here to 80 years old, still doing math and writing, still writing. I got interested in math because before that I just did a bunch of hodgepodge stuff and didn't make sense. And so then I took algebra, and I saw that there were laws in algebra. This book was a wonderful little book. I wish I could find it. It had no pictures, nothing. It just said, learn these laws and you can do everything in algebra. And I said, yay, now I don't have to run to the teacher. Can I do this? Can I do that? Is this all right? Because I would like to be independent. I was kind of independent.
Well, as far as law is concerned, what's the first law of math?
I can't say a first law. It depends on which
Well, algebra I'm talking about.
In algebra?
Yeah.
The first law that I would say is that when you add integers, adding integers is probably one of the first laws. Among the first laws, there's several, because when you study a topic in math, this is what I purport. You study a topic in math, there are three things you need to focus on. And when I did staff development a few weeks ago with teachers, they really appreciated that, because I talked about every branch up to calculus of mathematics, up to calculus. And I said, each of these branches, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. Same thing, three things. Number one, what are the numbers in the system? Okay? So, when you study algebra, you've got to ask that question. What are the numbers in the system? Okay? We start with integers. What are the integers? Once you know what the numbers are in the system, you have rational numbers, you have the real numbers, really the overarching real numbers, which consist of your rational and irrational numbers. So these are the numbers in the system of algebra. So you've got to know what they are, be able to identify them. The second thing you need to know is what are the properties of those, what are the operations of those numbers. You've got to know addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, compare, how to compare them. And you've got to know the properties of the operations and the properties of the numbers themselves. And then how do you apply, how do you use these laws in application in real life or whatever kinds of problem solving, whether it's SAT type problems or whatever. I also have an affinity for teaching SAT. I have a little booklet called Conquering SAT 1 Math, and I do, math preparation, SAT preparation for math. But that's how you get started in every system that you learn in mathematics. If you get that straight, mathematics becomes very simple. It's the concept. No, the concepts of mathematics are very simple.
Sure.
But what happened?
If I had a PhD in math, I would say
no. It's not about a PhD or EDD or whatever you want to call it. It's about the actual concepts are simple. For example, in my workshop that I did in August with the teachers, I used a second grader, and you'll appreciate this. I used a second grader to illustrate a basic concept in calculus.
Second grader in calculus.
Yes.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Okay, I taught him a few minutes before the demonstration, about 10 or 15 minutes, 10 minutes. So draw some curves. He drew some curves, and I said, okay, suppose we want to find the length of this curve.
You used that as an illustration in one of your classes, right?
I use this in the staff development program that I was conducting with teachers who were retired, who had math degrees and all kinds, whatever. And I was teaching them, and I was teaching them how the concepts are simple in calculus as well as all the other branches. But I went through all the branches: geometry, what do you need in geometry, what are the basic elements in geometry, point, line, plane, what are the basic elements in this, all the different branches. And then, but with this little boy, because the teacher said, well, we don't know what calculus even is. And I said, okay.
Sure.
So that's why I used this little boy,
and how
who was
old
very
was he?
advanced. I don't know his age, about 8, 7, 8, about 8, because he was just finished the first grade.
Yeah.
He's going to the second grade, just finished first grade.
Okay.
Going to the second grade. I had taught him all year, and he's very advanced, very, very. So that's one thing about this approach, success in learning math approach, SILMA. The one characteristic of it is that you teach the laws, and everything you teach, in whatever grade level, you use the laws. This is different from what happens in normal school. In regular classrooms, I observe teachers all over the country. I observe them teaching. I do professional development for teachers, college as well as high school. Sometimes college teachers say, what can she tell us? What did she got to say? I said, I don't have anything to say. I just want to share with you what I have found that I found to be helpful in teaching math. Just sharing. I'm not trying to teach you anything. You know the math. That's not the issue. Just sharing with you some approaches that I have used that have worked very effectively in teaching math. But back to this little boy. So after a few minutes with the little boy, I sat with him, and then we got him and demonstrated. And he had drawn a curve, and we had looked at how to find the length of a part of the curve. And I said, what we can do, we can just cut this curve. If we measured some lines and all that. It was easy with the rule. He could measure. He was very good. So I said, now, if we cut this curve in little teeny pieces, it looks like a little straight line, doesn't it? He said, yes, we can measure that. I said, yes, we can. You got it. I said, so we can cut this line, these little pieces, measure these little pieces, then add up all that sums, and we have the length of the curve.
But you have illustrations along with this.
Yeah, we had the curve. The curve. And he said, oh, I don't like to cut. I said, I'll cut. So then we got in front of the teachers and explained to them what it was. This is what calculus is all about. This is what it's about. The basic concept is examining, working with rate of change of small pieces, and then summing them all up. So the basic operations that you're using are really multiplication and division in calculus, but it doesn't look like it because you're using all these symbols that have to be translated from English to math, which is hardly ever done by most people in teaching it. So therefore it's complex, it's complicated, can't learn it.
You think it's the symbols that confuse most people?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not seeing the English translated to the math. And we do this in Silma, beginning with K, grade K, and our students soar. And that's why I really love working in the Washington Tennyson Education Foundation, because I get to work with students in grade pre-K or K, mostly K, on up to high school, and watch those kids grow. And I've been working with them over 12 years, so I've seen the child grow from kindergarten on up, graduating from high school, and come back and volunteer at the Tennis Foundation.
The Tennis Foundation, you mentioned it again. Tell us about that. How did that, you associate knowing math and playing tennis?
No, yeah, not really, but it is related. But no, the tennis, the Washington Tennis Education, I'm the math specialist there, and I've been the math specialist for quite a few years, long enough to see students graduate.
Will you analyze the
plays? No, I teach. They have a focus on teaching math and reading on the Tennis Foundation, and we have a wonderful program.
Well, tell us about it.
Let me tell you. They have a wonderful program that brings kids to the tennis center, and they have beautiful tennis courts, in and outdoor tennis courts, and they have an education program.
Where is this located?
This is located right next to Stoddard Recreation Center on East Capitol Street. And so every evening, and during the summer they have a program, but every evening we go there, and the children come there, and they have, they learn math and reading, and Dr. Williams is the reading specialist.
Oh, fantastic.
And they love it, and you get a chance to work with these little children.
I just want to ask you one question, and I got to wrap it up. Tell me, you have to come back. Tell me, what do you think of this new Apple thing that's out as far as improving math?
I think that I've been looking at so many. Apple's great, everything. All these, they have wonderful ways. Wonderful curriculums out, wonderful things to help to learn. The biggest problem, here's a problem. And this is a problem that Silma addresses beautifully. Here's a problem. You have a group of students, a class, or whatever grade, it doesn't matter, college, whatever grade. You have these students before you to teach. You have no clue where each one of them is. That's the problem. So what Silma does can diagnose those kids, assess, analyze, and tell you within a half hour where each one of those children are.
You heard it here on Ed Brown.
That's the power.
We're going to have a continuation of this learning math. You know, I was impressed with Dr. Johnson, and she's telling you basically, and what you have to do, you have to tune in next time, because we're going to have her again to explain the math, and whether, you know, as far as Apple is concerned, whether you're going to spend that extra money, really what you get. This has been Ed Brown. See you next time.